I am speaking to somebody who is in the aftermath of a huge energetic storm, okay? And I'm talking raining cats and dogs out here. I'm talking like it never rains but it pours. And the energy that I'm feeling is very exhausted, very tired. And it really just feels like you're sitting in that aftermath of like, whoa, something like, what was that? It was like multiple events, like unforeseen circumstances, lots of stuff, lots of just human stuff happening. And right now, it feels like the only thing that you can do at this point is to just rest, trust, surrender, like give it all over to some sort of higher power, because at this point it's like you're just in need of this deep recuperation, this nourishment of self. And like somebody should be bringing you chicken soup at this point, or like whatever your equivalent of comfort food is. I've actually spent most of my life as a vegetarian, so chicken soup is not something that I've ever had, but regardless, that's to the side. To the left. Oh God, if it's a breakup, I feel you. Just because that song came through, the Beyonce song. Anyway, and the reason that I kind of wanted to film this, it's funny, I had this like message in that had come through, and I was like, oh, I'm gonna like talk on that today, that's what it's gonna be. And since landing and like even on the drive here, I was just like getting so much more, and it's so much more deep and nuanced and different than the message that I thought I was going to be bringing in today, because I have this feeling that you're sort of transmuting your relationship with laziness and procrastination. And I feel like I'm speaking with a collective or an individual here who's just like the word perfectionist just came through. There's something about you like to hold yourself to a high standard, and you're kind of starting to heal your relationship with doing, with productivity, with giving, you know, with like giving of your time, giving of your energy. I'm just feeling so like the energy is feeling so drained. It's like you've given all that you can give at this point. And like, what do you do when you reach that rock bottom? Like, what do you do when you finally hit the wall and you're really just confronted with the person that you are when you're not able to give? Like, how do you treat yourself when you can't give anything? You know, how do you hold yourself in self-worth and in esteem when you're no longer able to take another step? You can't, like, all you can do is just exist. All you can do is rest. All you can do is breathe, you know? And I think in the past, you had this sort of misconception around, it was almost this fear of laziness, or this sort of like disgust of laziness, where you kind of felt like really perturbed and put off by like, you know, maybe other people who didn't make an effort, or even yourself. Whenever you felt like you weren't making an effort, you kind of felt like it didn't sit right within you. And you had this misconception about laziness and about rest. And it was almost like you could only rest if you earned it, or you could only rest if you were also being productive during that rest time. So like you're resting, but you're low-key like doing a hobby that like is like actually producing something. Or like you're resting, but it's actually like your rest time was actually like going to the gym, or your rest time was like reading a book, and like you'd have to be improving your mind, or like, you know, listening to a podcast. And like even when you're resting, you couldn't let yourself just fully rest. Like you couldn't fully let yourself be in that energy. It's like you had to like maximize your rest time. Like you had to like find some way to sneak some sort of sneaky productivity in there. And like really, like the exhaustion is so real that I'm feeling right now. It's like, you know, when you're sick and you can't do anything. It's like you're bleary, you can't look at a screen, like you can't do anything except sleep, you know, like all you can do is like fully rest. And it's like those were the only times that you were quote unquote resting, was whenever like you got taken out by some sort of illness and you're like, well, here I am. And like even while you were ill, you're like, I'm gonna get through this, like I'm gonna like turn this over really fast, and like I'm gonna be better by tomorrow, you know, confirmation. And it's like you were like trying to like hurry your way through the healing process. Whereas now I feel like you've started to get a little bit of wisdom under your belt when it comes to like nervous system activation, deactivation, and like what your nervous system even means to you, how you interact with it, how it sort of shows up as like being activated or deactivated or whatever in your life, like sort of really truly knowing. It's like the slowly slowing down that we were talking about in the last couple of videos, like slowly slowing down. And like now that you've sort of started to be more aware about your nervous system and about like, oh, this is what rest really feels like, and it's foreign to you, it's strange, it's new, and it's like, oh, was I ever really resting? Have I ever really rested in my life? And regardless of whatever is happening for you, because I do have that sense that like there's possibly just been like a wave of something, like outside events, occurrences that has just like occurred to you in your life. Apart from all of that, I feel like what you're actually focusing on is not necessarily like the drama and the whatever. It's like, how am I supporting myself through this? Like, how are you how are you coming home to yourself? And I feel like the outside events have been so strong to the point where you've been like almost forced to look at your coping mechanisms in a new way. And you've been forced to like almost level up your self-compassion in a way. And it's really been sparking these realizations with you of like, hold on, maybe I was never lazy. Maybe I just was being too harsh on myself and I wasn't letting myself actually rest. And so if I never actually rest, first of all, how can I be as productive as I know I could be if I'm always pushing? Because I'm always going to be slightly depleted. So if I never really fill myself up, then how am I ever going to reach my full potential? And secondly, is that really how I want to be treating myself? Do I really want to be spending my whole life treating, like not allowing myself to rest, not being able to access that full spectrum of rest and relaxation that I know my body needs, that I need, that everyone needs? And like, it's kind of like you're just learning to give yourself more leeway on that spectrum of rest. You're learning what it feels like to actually fully come to rest. And I just have this feeling that it's like this lifelong push has just sort of started to ease up to the point where you now are fully feeling the exhaustion confirmation from the car. You're fully feeling the exhaustion that you have kept at bay for your entire life. It feels like your entire life you've been holding this exhaustion, like pushing it down, holding it back, and like trying to like run away from it as fast as you can. And it's like you've never fully let that exhaustion land in your system and be heavy and be felt and acknowledge how much you've been pushing yourself, honey. Like how hard you've been going, how high you've set the bar for yourself, how much you've expected of yourself. And in a way, like how unkind that has like felt in your system in a way that you haven't fully, you know, acknowledged. And so I kind of feel like there's this level of forgiveness that's coming in. There's this level of admitting how tired you've actually been. There's this sort of this softening of the holding. It's like you're unclenching, you're unflinching, and you've just let this bodily exhaustion just come and land into your body to be felt. And sort of like, it's like this new honoring of yourself and your need for rest. This is a deep, deep, deep healing that you're going through. I was speaking on procrastination before, and I feel like there was a lot of like, the nervous system has a few different sort of modes that it goes into. But if we think about like the activation of the fight, flight, freeze, fawn response, right? Like the freeze response, like the freeze and the fawn sort of responses, they're only like relatively new, like newly being understood. Like the fight or flight is what it was, you know, like used to be called. But not all of us go into either fight or flight. There is also the freezing and the fawning responses, which like you may have never really realized that your freeze response was being turned on and that your body was in survival mode. You may not have realized that. You might have just thought, like, you might have had so much anxiety in your body that you just didn't even realize you were an anxious person. You would have sworn blind that you're not anxious, that you're like, that's not something that you identified as, but it was something that was living in your body, and like it was present and alive and awake in your body. This is just an example, not to say everyone watching this is an anxious person, but you know. And the freeze, I think as well, especially, so many of us in our lives get stuck in the freeze without realizing that that's what's happening, that that's where we are. And we can also have, again, the negative self-talk doubling down on us of like, why aren't you doing this, that, the other? And so you're in procrastination, you're in freeze mode. What your brain is telling you is that you actually need to push yourself harder to achieve, to do, to like get up off your ass and like stop being lazy. Actually, that's not what's happening. Like, that's what your mind is like, oh shit, like having a panic attack, like, oh my god, this is what's happening. We need to like get up and do something, because heaven forbid we stop and rest. That would mean that we're lazy and like worth nothing, kind of thing. And like, we're kind of starting to realize, hey, wait, like that's not what's going on at all. That's not actually what's going on. Shit, hold on. Sorry, I was getting a call. Oh my god. And yeah, like, come on. We know that there's no, you know, there's only synchronicities that happen in these messages. So this is you getting the call as well, to just stop, slow down. And I almost feel like it's a wake-up call as well. It's a wake-up call for your system, where you're like, oh shit, actually I was just being really mean to myself, and actually I'm not lazy, and actually the procrastination was coming from the fact that I'm actually overwhelmed. I'm overstimulated. I've actually got too much going on. What I need is not to pile more onto my plate. What I need is not to work harder. What I need is not to do more. It's actually to like take a second and take some stuff off my plate. It's to actually be like, whoa, how can I actually like remove some of these things and like, you know, carve out some space for rest, carve out some space for me. Actually ask me, like ask yourself, what do I need in this moment? Like, wow, what a revelation to actually ask myself, like, what do you need in this moment? And like give yourself that care that you truly need. And like, it's not always going to be someone else that's going to come in and save you and like be like, what do you need? And oftentimes when that happens, we can like shut that person down and be like, oh my god, no, I'm fine, I'm so good, like I've got this, heaven forbid I ask for help, you know. And like a lot of you are learning to heal that relationship as well with like being able to receive, being able to have help from someone else, being able to actually just say, actually, no, I'm not all good. I'm not good right now. I need a break. I need to like regulate myself somehow. I need a rest, or I need some help. Please bring me the chicken noodle soup. I'm exhausted. You know? Oh. And there's something really beautiful in that kind of co-regulation and like that softening and allowing other people in, allowing help, allowing yourself to be helped. Yeah, and so like this point that is like the point of now is like, it's just such a beautiful time for you to allow softness, rest, and like don't try and push it away. If you're feeling this exhaustion, if you're feeling tired, if you're feeling overwhelmed, you know, be there with yourself, hold yourself through that, and yeah, allow space. Like, we don't have to push these feelings away. They might feel really big, and that is a really beautiful time for you to lean on people around you where you feel like you do actually need someone beside you, just solid, steady, to hold your hand, or just to be there to listen, or just to like, I don't know, like play video games with or something, or like just like they read their book, you read your book, and you're both just decompressing, like no pressure. But like being together with someone, I think that can be really like nurturing for your soul. And it helps to give you permission, and it gives your nervous system permission to just like chillax for a second, and not to have it all together, and not to have it all figured out, and just like not to be so highly performing all the time. And I heard, what was the message that I heard on the way here? You will never know. Oh, this was such a beautiful one. Guys, heck, this was such a beautiful one. You will never know. And like this went so many, like had grew like 20 different arms of messages as soon as I heard that. It was like there's a heron going past. Oh my god, that's the bird representing like new birth, new beginnings. Anyway, you will never know. You will never know. And I also heard they will never know. It's like something about you will never know how important you were in someone's story. You will never know how many people's lives that you saved by showing up in the way that you did for those people at those times. You will never know that. And like this is just such a reciprocal energy of like community, of friendship, of love, of family, of partnerships. Like there's something about how we all like walk each other home, you know, like how the smallest acts of kindness can be something that touches someone so deeply and changes the whole trajectory of their life. It's like all these tiny little pebbles being dropped and making ripples out into the world, and like there's just no way to know how far that ripple reaches, you know, like your kindness has touched so many people, your light has lifted so many people, and like vice versa. Like we can't do this without each other. This is like, sometimes it feels like the journey that we are on by ourselves, like we're walking our path, and in a way that's true, and we have that full autonomy and sovereignty in our own realm, but we aren't doing this alone. And even if you don't have other people in your vicinity that are doing this, like even the like love that I see in the comment section, and like between people, and like people supporting each other, and in other people's comment sections, like it, like there is a mutual support that is happening. Like there are other people out there that are going through the same thing that you're going through, and like just know that like there is some sort of mass communal like psychic love connection that we share, that is sort of there as this invisible like sponge. Why am I thinking sponge? I don't know. Sponge came. It's like a spongy sort of like bouncy net that we're all sitting on. And like I just hope and I pray that you have people in your real life that support you like unendingly, you know, that have your back no matter what. And this is what I pray. I feel like this is like a miracle, like a mass miracle that I'm like hoping to like condense into our reality for every single person watching this video. Like, I pray over every single one of my videos, and like I have such strong intentions for it to reach the people that like it's going to like light a spark and be that pebble and lift you somehow, and just like help you to know that there is love out there for you. There are people out there who are willing to absolutely be 10 toes down for you. Like, you are worth everything in this world. You are worth everything, okay? And like, it's just a reminder, okay? Like, I'm just here to be that reminder. Like, you are worth so much. It goes beyond, like, there's no way to put it into words how invaluable you are in this world, okay? Just by being here, just by being you, okay? Like, and I think that's what is something that is like being confronted through this exhaustion, is like, wow, what is your relationship to yourself when you are not giving? You know, how much worth do you deem for yourself? Can you access for yourself when you are in a helpless state where you can't give, you can't show up, you can't produce? All you can do in that moment is receive. And so when you're in that state, like, can you still love yourself? Can you still access your self-worth? And sometimes we have to be brought to these points to really face the parts of ourselves that are resistant to loving ourselves, that are resistant to seeing our worth, that are resistant to receiving. And even though it feels extreme, because damn, that is extreme, but like, it feels like almost a cruel way to learn a lesson that should be really like, it should be a beautiful thing. Like, learning to love yourself should be like this beautiful, you know, like revealing, like golden light kind of thing. But sometimes we have to go into the like opposite energy of feeling, you know, not feeling love for ourselves, not feeling our self-worth, not feeling our self-respect. And sometimes we have to be confronted by it in order to like sort of like transmute that and like realize, like, where has that false like belief come from? Where is it sitting within us? And like give us time and space to really like be with that feeling, like be with the feeling of like, maybe I am not enough, and sort of wrap it up in our love, you know? And like, again, those feelings are not things that we're trying to push away or get rid of. We sit with them, we understand them, and we give them compassion and love. We give that compassion and love to ourselves. And like, that's where the healing comes together. It's like this knitting together, this forgiving energy, this like, this warm cocooning of understanding, compassion. And you sort of start to like feed yourself the vibes, you know? You sort of start to like be like, hold on, that's silly. I actually am that girl. I am that guy. I am the cool, you know? I'm like, why am I the biggest nerd in the world? That feels like the silliest sentence ever coming out of my mouth. Like, you sort of just start to acknowledge like the spark and the truth of the person that you are. You're like, hold on, wait a minute, like, actually I am worthy of love. Actually, I am a good person. Actually, I do deserve rest. And you sort of slowly get these like, it's like slowly building up this common sense within yourself, this embodied common sense of self, where you're like, oh, actually, maybe I can rest. Oh, that feels amazing. I can just let it go. Holy moly, I can just like not do something. I can just do absolutely nothing, and like sort of acknowledge the resistance as it comes up, and then also meet the resistance with like, I see you, like, I see you, and here you are, and here I am. We, you know, we're gonna work through this together. The car, yes. And yeah, I think it also really, really helps to have an external mirror, like a person outside of yourself who's like, yeah, you are the shit. Like, duh, you're incredible, you're amazing, you're wonderful, you're beautiful, you're smart, you're the whole package, you're a 10 out of 10. Like, why wouldn't you love yourself? Because damn, every other person out here is loving you, every other person out here wants a piece of you, and you're still acting like like she's the queen and we the sorry people, you know? Oh, if you get that reference, put it in the comments. Okay. I am well and truly gone off the rails with this message at this point, but I hope that you're picking up what I'm putting down. Okay, so I'm going to leave it there. That's the message. Get some little love notes in your soul, okay? You are loved. You're special. You're worthy. You're incredible, okay? You're incredible. Take it from me. I'm gonna leave it there. I'm so grateful for you. I'm so grateful for you. Thank you for being here. Oh, guys. I'm right there with you with the exhaustion, eh? I'm gonna hydrate. I'm gonna go. And I'm gonna see you so shortly in the next one, okay? Miss you already.